and we are one of the 3 hosts for this Your Voice, Your Vote series, along with the Loudoun alumni chapter of the Delta Sigma Thetas and the NAACP. Our goal for this series is to provide you with a nonpartisan forum where you can ask questions and hear the candidates' answers. And I'm emphasizing nonpartisan and civil. We have collected quite a few questions before this event by registrants who on the Eventbrite link, and we will collect audience questions if you have them. You must write them on them 3x5 cards, hold it up, and we'll collect it. Our time is limited. As you can see, we have quite a few candidates up here, and so don't be disappointed if your question isn't asked. You can go ahead and submit it to the candidates' website afterwards. Tonight we'll hear from most of the Loudoun County school candidates, and on October 19th, mark your calendars, the NAACP will host a Board of Supervisors, the Board of Supervisors candidates at the newly renovated Douglas Center in Leesburg. On November 2nd, the Delta Sigma Thetas will host the General Assembly candidates at the Ashburn Library. We hope you will join us for all of these. And I urge you to not to clap, just do your hands in the air. We're all kindergartners here. And give the moderator as the boss. So she will work in as many questions as she can. And thank you for coming. Thank you. And Kiara from the Deltas will now introduce the speaker. Moderator.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kiara Jennings. I am the Social Action Chair of the Loudoun County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. This evening, I'm going to be introducing the moderator. Robin Reeves Burks currently serves as the Executive Director of the Loudoun Freedom Center. She is also the President of B3 Holdings, LLC, and the owner of WYSE Loudoun, where youth and seniors engage. Prior to becoming a small business owner, she served as the Chief of Staff of Healthcare Technology for AT&T. Robin is very active in our community. She serves on the Governor's COVID-19 Long-Term Care Task Force, the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors renaming Route 7 and Route 50 Task Force, and the Loudoun County Public Schools Equity Committee. She is a life member of the NAACP and serves as the first Vice President of the Loudoun branch. She is a member of the Freedom Technology Group, an associate member of the Loudoun County, Virginia chapter of Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, the Loudoun County chapter of the Girlfriends Incorporated, and the African American Community Association. Robin attended Howard University and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science. She lives in Ashburn, Virginia with her husband Stephen and their son Clinton. As a leader, Robin believes that everyone can contribute to the discussion, the decisions, and the outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator for the evening, Mrs. Robin Reeves Burke.
Thank you so much. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Loudoun County Public School Board Candidate Forum. We have 13 candidates here tonight, each vying for your support to represent the various districts within Loudoun County. Again, I'm Robin Reeves Burke, and I will be your moderator for this evening's event. Before we begin, let me briefly outline the format of today's forum. First, we'll start with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide an opening statement to introduce themselves and explain why they're running for school board. Followed by questions from me, the moderator. I will pose a series of questions to the candidates. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Then we will have pre-submitted questions and questions from the audience. We encourage, again, the audience to submit questions on index cards. Our volunteers will collect these questions and provide them to me. I will then pose the selected questions to the candidates, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. And then at the end of the night, we'll have, if time permits, we'll have each candidate having 2-minute closing statement to summarize their key points and why they believe they should be elected. So let's begin. Opening statements. Candidates, please keep your responses concise to ensure that we have time to cover all the relevant topics. Please note that the timekeeper in front row, timekeeper, thank you, will give you a 30-second warning when it's your time to expire and a signal when your time is up. Unlike past candidate forums, I don't have the ability to completely shut off your mic, but we will ask you to immediately stop talking. Some forums will allow you to finish your thought, but due to the amount of people we have here, I'm sure you can understand. All right, we will proceed in alphabetical order based on the districts. The Algonkian district, Miss Viktoria Hunyadi? Hunyadi, thank you. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Can you hear me?
It's on.
It's on. On.
Gonna be turned out.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Viktoria Hunyadi, and I am a candidate for the Algonkian School District. I am a mother of 2 and a former LCPS substitute teacher. I decided to run for school board because it was born out of a very profound concern for the quality of education and the well-being of our children. I firmly believe that the school board bears the responsibility for providing a safe and an academically thriving environment, both for our teachers and for our students. And I am fully committed to the cause of restoring it. Our children deserve nothing less but the very best. The key problems we face in our public schools now is declining grade level proficiency, jeopardized school safety and low morale, significant teacher shortages, lack of transparency and communication, misuse of school budget, and politicized curriculum and school board policies. We urgently need to implement solutions to save our children from this destructive trend. We must restore academic rigor, improve discipline and security measures, improve teachers' working conditions, rebuild trust and respect parental rights, proper use of school budget, and back to basic education instead of indoctrination. I'm a hardworking, dedicated leader. Will be in the pursuit of restoring excellence in our schools during my term. I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. From the Ashburn School District, we have Harris Mahedavi.
Well, good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank the Loudoun chapter of NAACP and the Loudoun County League of Women Voters for having us tonight. At the same time, I want to thank all the candidates that are running. You know, it's, as somebody who ran it back in 2019, running is a big effort, not only for the candidates, for the families as well, so I commend you, everybody, for that. My name is Harris Mahedavi. I'm the current school board member representing the Ashburn district, and I'm running for re-election. A little bit about myself. I'm a parent of 2 amazing LCPS students. Both have gone through from first grade all the way, I'm a senior right now, dealing with all the colleges and going through the whole process for that. Besides that, my journey always has been, how do I participate and stay along with being engaged with my kids? So I'm a volunteer soccer coach. That's what I did for my son and for my daughter. I'm also a current basketball coach for my daughter as well. I'm also the assistant scout master for my son as well in his Boy Scouts of America. So my whole entire journey has been, I think as many of you know, once a kid sort of leaves high school, you sort of don't see him that often. So my entire experience has been, how do I spend more and more time with him? So I'll talk a little bit because I'm one of the candidates who actually was in the current board. In spite of, again, we came onto the school board in 2020, 30 seconds, so I can go through my process for that. Well, the reason I'm running is there is still a lot of unfinished business that needs to be completed. There's a lot of progress we made when it comes to academic pathways, special education, and staff. So again, my hope is to continue building upon that and make sure that we strengthen our school system. Thank you.
From the Broad Run District, Dr. Linda Deans.
Good evening. I am Dr. Linda Deans. My why for the school board is that I was a sharecropper's daughter from Dudley, North Carolina, and education allowed me to escape poverty. Loudoun County Public Schools has as their mission statement, empowering all students to make meaningful contributions to the world. I can assure you that it is education that has allowed me to make multiple meaningful contributions to the world. My personal mantra is beating the odds by achieving beyond expectations. I have achieved beyond the expectations of the poverty in which I grew up. Additionally, I have achieved beyond the expectations in every job that I have had within public schools. I believe in public schools. I love public schools. I've been in public schools for 40 years. That doesn't make me old. That makes me experienced. So I want you to know that I would like to offer that 40 years of experience from my education in North Carolina, my experiences in North Carolina as well as Virginia. I would like to offer all of those experiences to Loudoun County. Loudoun County is already a wonderful school district. We are number 5 out of 131 in the state. It's okay. We're going to move on up to number 1. By electing this new school board, you will have the opportunity to support us as we move Loudoun from number 5 to number 1. Thank you.
Broad Run District, Mr. Chris Hodges.
Thank you. My name is Chris Hodges, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP and Delta Sigma Theta, is that right? Yes. Sorry, for having us tonight. First I want to ask, how did I get Dr. Linda Deans as my opponent? She's pretty good. I was going to say my bio was on my handout, but now they say 2 minutes. I thought I had a minute and a half. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I've been married for 38 years to my beautiful wife, Liz. Is she watching? Is it good? For 38 years, 3 children. 2 of them went to Broad Run High School. 2 of them went on to Virginia Tech. 1 went on to JMU. I have 4 wonderful grandchildren. Very proud of them. And I've lived in Broadlands for 17 years. I'm right down the block from the administration building, so I'm only a stone's throw away. The reason I'm running is because I'm actually angry at what has transpired over the last 4 years. I'm very, very disappointed. I mean, we've turned into a laughingstock across the nation. So that's what's got me up off the couch and into the race. 2 reasons why I feel I'm very well qualified. Number 1, I'm a certified financial planner. I deal with budgets every day. And no, it's not a large company type of budget, but it's the same concept. I like numbers. I even like math, believe it or not. So I think I would be a real asset on the board with my financial planning and budget experience. And then number 2, arguably the most important job of the board is to manage the superintendent. It's to give him goals and objectives and to manage him to make sure they're achieved. A lot of people don't realize that. I've met in the Navy and in my companies recently, I've managed hundreds of people. So I know how to get the best out of them. So if you like what's happened over the past 4 years, do not vote for me. If you want change, vote for me. If you want LCPS to go back to the basics, I'm your candidate. Thank you.
microphone is working.
Here we go.
That one works.
Thank you so much. All right, from the Catoctin district, we have Miss Megan Lockwood.
Get to be the guinea pig. Good evening. I'm grateful to our hosts for the opportunity to engage in conversation with you tonight. I'm Megan Lockwood, and I am running for the school board, the Catoctin district seat. I am a Northern Virginia native. I attended Fairfax County Public Schools, and I've lived in Loudoun since 2006. I'm a full-time substitute teacher at a middle school right in our Catoctin district, and a parent of 4. And I can't forget to say mother-in-law of 1 as well. My oldest is a graduate of LCPS and beginning his career in law enforcement. My youngest is currently in 1st grade. I've been a parent, an LCPS parent for 15 years, and we have a long way to go with LCPS, having a 1st grader. As both an educator and a parent, every decision the school board makes greatly affects my family as well as yours. I am dedicated to making sure that our children receive the best education to prepare them for a successful future as responsible citizens of Virginia, the nation, and the world. As a school board member, I plan to facilitate improved, honest communication between the school and home, ensure we are recruiting and retaining the best possible staff with competitive compensation and benefits, examine the budget to make sure that we are using our financial resources equitably and wisely, and most importantly, making sure that every student is safe and fully included in their school community while receiving a world-class education. Thank you.
From the Dulles district, Melinda Mansfield.
Thank you for inviting me to participate in this event. My name is Melinda Mansfield, and I'm the Democratic endorsed candidate for Loudoun County School Board Dulles District. I've lived in South Riding for 20 years, and I'm a current literacy tutor, a state leader with Decoding Dyslexia Virginia, a former music therapist, and a mom of college-age twins. I decided to run because, like others, I've seen the broken side of public education. My son has dyslexia, and unfortunately the public school failed to teach him how to read, write, and spell. In middle school, he was 5 years behind his peers, and we had to pull him from LCPS and place him in a private school to provide appropriate remediation. And that started my journey with Decoding Dyslexia Virginia as a state leader. I grew up supporting public schools, and it was really hard when my children were failed. I was determined not to let that happen to anybody else. So since 2016, I've helped to write and advocate for legislation to improve literacy screening, instruction, intervention, teacher prep, parent engagement, and curriculum and data transparency. We must ensure that our teachers and kids feel safe and feel included, that our schools use evidence-based instruction grounded in science, and our parents have the tools and understanding to be on a level playing field so that they may work together with our educators to make informed decisions about their children's education. I've worked from the outside, and now I want to make change from the inside, to work to make LCPS the healthy first-class educational district, first-class district. I know it can be. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
From the Leesburg district, Erika Ogedegbe.
Good evening. Thank you so much. My name is Erika Ogedegbe. I'm the candidate for the Leesburg district. I wanted to thank our hosts for having this event and allowing us to spend some time and share some information about ourselves. So I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, which has a reputation similar to Loudoun as a very affluent community. But for my family, we were not affluent. My mother chose that community for me when I was growing up because she was looking for a place that had great schools and offered a diverse community where I would have the opportunity to know people who were different from us culturally and from different religions. When my husband Nathaniel and I were looking for a place to live in Leesburg or Virginia for our own family, we chose Loudoun and Leesburg for the same reasons. We're looking for great public schools for our kids, and we're looking for a diverse community that would be welcoming for our multicultural and multiracial family. So we chose Leesburg. I have 3 children who've been in the schools. Similarly, I've been an LCPS mom for over 20 years now. I've got a 28-year-old, 25, and a 12-and-a-half-year-old. And I've spent 30 years of my professional career in higher education. I am currently in IT at American University. I'm running because I believe in the power of public education. I went to public schools myself and know that schools are the bedrock for our community. We need schools that are providing an effective education for all of our students, and that are also welcoming and affirming spaces where students feel seen and welcome and heard, so that they can do their best and learn everything that they need to learn to be members of our society as they grow up. Thank you.
Little River District, we have 2 candidates, Ms. Sumera Rashid, followed by Mr. Joseph Smith.
Hello. Hi, I'm Dr. Sumera Rashid. I'd like to thank the hosts for arranging this. I'm very excited to run for this campaign. I've been living in Little River District for around, I'd say 15 years. My husband and I moved here for the sake of our children because we heard that the public school system was phenomenal. I come from New Jersey. I was born and raised there, a very marginalized community. So there was a lot of violence, there was a lot of drugs on the streets, and coming from there, you kind of had to survive. And be it that may, I understand the importance of academic excellence. I'm a general dentist. I've been a dentist for 20 years. Is this on? I've been a dentist for 20 years, and I'm a professor at Northern Virginia Community College at the Springfield campus. I'm also a director, so I teach dental students on how to pursue what they would like to pursue in the dental field. Academic excellence, I'd like to really bring that about, really further that process in our school system, because I understand what it is, the power of learning and education among our students in order to come forward. Transparency is another big one, along with accountability. In order to build trust in the community, we feel that you have to really be transparent. And then, of course, inclusivity. It's really important for our kids to feel safe. And if they feel safe, they're definitely going to learn. And that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Smith. I just want to thank the hosts for arranging this tonight and all the candidates being here. It's a fantastic turnout. I just want to remind everybody that we are running in the Little River District. I am a Christian man, a father, and father of 4 children and a husband. All my children went through the LCPS system. We moved down here to Loudoun County in 2003, and I started a prosthetics business in the area, treating all of the amputees in the area hospitals and VA clinics for their artificial limbs. I've coached wrestling and softball at the high school level at Heritage High School for several years, so I've been coaching boys and girls, and much to their chagrin, I've coached my children. They didn't like that too much. I grew up one of 8 children in a family full of educators, and went through public school, private school, and homeschooling. I'm exposed to it all. So I understand the need for parents to be able to tailor their education to the best needs of their children. I also got a daily dose of what teachers go through on a regular basis, what the problems that they and the obstacles that they have to face, and the pressures that they face. So if the old adage is true that it takes a village to raise a child, then I feel that this village is broken. There is no triangle of trust anymore between teachers, parents, and students. As your board member, I will commit to reuniting this village through the return of, first and foremost, a civil discourse for all the school board members. Sorry, no more being on the national news. I want to take it out of the national news. I want to have mutual respect between the parents and the teachers, and a safer environment, and the students, and a safer environment for all the students to have equality of opportunity, feel welcome, and return to focus on academic excellence. Thank you so much, Joe Smith. Common name, common sense change.
Sterling District, we have 3 candidates. Mr. Arben Istrafi, followed by Amy Ricardi, and Adesh Nagia for Kolla.
Hello everybody, I also want to start off by thanking our hosts, the organizing partners for setting up this forum, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to introduce myself to the community. My name is Arben Istrafi and I'm running for the Sterling District seat on the Loudoun County School Board. I'm a father, an educator, a social entrepreneur, and also a community organizer. I'm also a first-generation American and a former English language learner. Couldn't speak English properly by the time I reached kindergarten. I also helped lead a tech education company based out of Northern Virginia. Before that, so I'm also a recovering consultant, so I did consulting for about 15 years before that. But the majority of my adult life, I've been focused on helping community organizations create spaces that allow culturally diverse youth or immigrant kids like me the opportunity to thrive. And so that's really been one of my passions. My wife and I moved to Loudoun County for a lot of the same reasons others do, diverse and vibrant community and schools. And our son is almost 4 years old. His name is Ennis. And he's one of my deepest reasons for running. I'm very invested in this community and our public schools. That being said, I'm running to bring a strong voice for the Sterling District to the Loudoun County School Board. I believe that uplifting and showing up for the Sterling District here in Loudoun County and on the school board is one of the keys to unlocking all of the potential of LCPS, right? If we can focus on the Sterling District and our Title I schools. And what that really means is engaging our community, understanding what's working and what's not from the perspective of our Title I schools, approaching discipline from a restorative lens, acknowledging disparities, and then focusing on how the division can adjust resources, funds, and strategies to better serve all students. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Ricardi. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you again for having all of us here tonight. This is really great. So I am a mom of 2 kids. My youngest just finished high school here in Northern Virginia. My son goes to school in New Jersey as well, so is a soccer player there. I have a master's degree in education from George Mason. I'm an adjunct professor at George Mason in the School of Business, and I'm a CEO of a company called Leadership Evolution Group, and we do human capital and HR consulting for federal government, associations, nonprofits, small and medium-sized companies. I've lived in Sterling for 15 years. It's a great community, and I really love it. I live in the Sterling Park side of the district. But Sterling Park and the Sterling District in and of itself has some really unique problems that don't affect the rest of Western Loudoun, and most people that live over on this side of the county aren't even aware. All 10 of our schools are minority-majority schools. The schools in Sterling Park are more than 70% Latino. The schools on the side of Rock Ridge in the Ashburn district are about 70% Asian. And it creates a really interesting dynamic within this district. And one of the reasons why I'm running is we do not have effective school board representation for this group of schools. We have facilities that are run down. We have bathroom stalls missing, tiles on bathrooms and in the hallways missing. These schools are not functioning well. Our kids are more than a year behind grade level on average, and sometimes 2. This is a serious, serious problem that needs serious solutions. And my business and the work that I do professionally fixes and addresses a lot of human capital problems with recruiting teachers, creating incentive programs for them to come here to Loudoun. I'll be really honest with you, a lot of them don't want to be here right now and have real struggles with this. So in talking to members in the community, we have a lot of issues to face, and I want to help represent that in the Sterling District. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. My name is Adesh Nangia. I'm the campaign manager for Sarathchand, Kolla, who is a school board candidate for Sterling School District. Let me share a few things about him. Sarath is the father of 2 boys who are in Rockbridge and Stonehill. He has been living in Ashburn for 12 years. He's also a Ironman triathlete. He is a community grassroots level organizer and a transformation catalyst. He has been serving non-profit organizations in education space for the past 20 years, significantly transforming communities, schools, and also his university alma mater. He coaches kids, teens, adults, self-awareness, self-development, empowers them to achieve their best. He has been coaching thousands of community members in various activities, including meditation, robotics, STEM, parent-teacher organization, community swim teams, triathlons, endurance sports. He actively and concurrently participates in 3 school board, school PTOs, Rosalie Carter, Stonehill, and Rockridge, serving 4,000 families each year. And in summer, he runs a community swim team with over 200 families. He has personally initiated, transformed these organizations and their impact to the communities, as well as respected by the school administration, staff, parents, students, and he tirelessly works year in and year out. He's looking to bring these transformation initiatives for students and families with focus in personal well-being, mental health, endurance, equal opportunity, and created all the members of the school community of his district and county. He believes in the motto of knowledge is supreme power. He works from the space in all his service and activities in the community. So thank you, and thank you for the hosts, Delta Sigma and NAACP and Women League.
Thank you. At large, we have 2 candidates, Ms. Ann Donohue and Mr. Micheal Rivera.
Thank you. Erika. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to all of you for being here, audience and other candidates. Big thank you to the Dulles South Senior Center for hosting us, and to the Loudoun chapters of Delta Sigma Theta, NAACP, and the League of Women Voters who for organizing this event. Which is fantastic. I love having every opportunity I can. I can talk loud. Yeah, hear me in the back?
You actually do. I'm very impressed.
Okay. Yes, thank you to the facility, thank you to the organizers, thank you to all of you, to everyone for being here. It's wonderful to have opportunities to talk directly to voters, and I'm really grateful for this one. My name is Ann Donohue. I am the proud parent of 2 elementary school students in LCPS. I've been a resident of Loudoun County since 2014, and I am running for the at-large seat on the Loudoun County School Board. I'm running because I know the power that great public education has to open doors and improve people's lives. And I believe every single student in our county deserves and is entitled to have real access to those opportunities to succeed in their adult lives. I am from a rural, small, poor farming community in the Midwest. I went to K through 12 schools. I got a great education. I went to college, I went to law school, and I'm now a former prosecutor. I'm a community and school volunteer, and I am a career government attorney focusing on public safety. I have been for several years a volunteer ESL instructor, and I'm also an adjunct professor at the George Washington University School of Law. My spouse is from Loudoun County originally, has family still here. My mom moved here last year. We now have roots here forever. And as some of the others have said, my kids are in 1st and 4th grade, so we're gonna be with LCPS for a long time. Do I get a little more time? Because we did the mic swap out?
Give it 1 second.
I am running because I believe in order for our kids to take full advantage of the excellent education that LCPS provides, all of our students and all of our staff need to be physically, mentally, and emotionally safe and secure in our school communities. That everyone needs to feel welcome and included, that our staff needs to be supported and respected and receive a living wage. And I also believe that we need to restore civility, dignity, and respectful discourse to the decision-making process at the school board, and that we need to always make decisions based on evidence and focused on the best interest of the students of our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Micheal Rivera. I'm running for the, is it working? Hold on. My name is Micheal. Can you hear me now? Hold on a second.
What's happening is the sound from the speaker above us is bouncing back.
I can probably talk loud enough for everybody to hear me, especially the answer. Okay, can everybody hear me now? My name is Micheal Rivera. I'm a candidate for the at-large position in the school board. I can tell you everything that everybody else said, but I'm not going to repeat it because the messages start to blend in and look kind of like Jell-O after a while. So I grew up in New York City. I'm a product of the public school system. I have 2 older brothers, and I am evidence that education is the great equalizer. As a Hispanic growing up in the Bronx, I don't feel like I experienced any racial discrimination or anything. I made it. And that's because my parents were great parents. My dad, rest his soul, had a 3rd grade education. My mom got her GED. They both came here from Puerto Rico. So when people say that parents are not smart enough to be teachers to their children, I say no. Because I know for a fact that my parents educated us, and 2 out of the 3 of us went on to achieve master's degrees. At the ripe old age of 47, I still followed my dream to become a law enforcement officer. And that's what I do today. So I know about public service. I show up when you call. I don't care what your Democratic Party is, your political party is, your ethnicity, whatever. It doesn't matter. I am a public servant. So I know what it means to serve the public and serve everybody. I'm running because it's important that we protect the innocence of children, and we make sure that all kids graduating from high school are productive members of society. I'm not seeing that today. Anybody that says that that's not a true statement is fooling themselves. Go to McDonald's today and look at some of the kids working the registers that can't count change. These are kids that just graduated from high school. Kids that can't do their checkbooks. Kids that can't get jobs, so they're staying home. So we need to make sure that we provide a high quality education to all students across Loudoun. And that doesn't mean just sending them to college, it means vocational education. I'm Micheal Rivera, I'm running for at-large, thank you.
What do you want me to do with this?
Just hold on to it. All right, we will move to questions from the moderator. I'll pose a series of questions to the candidates. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. We have the timekeeper in the front row who will give you a 30-second warning when your time is about to expire and signal when your time is up. The school board approved the new strategic plan on June 28, 2022. One LCPS strategic plan for excellence to provide direction for our school division through 2027. The plan includes the vision, the mission, core values, goals, aligned actions, and strategies. I have a question. Raise your hand, candidates, if you have read the One LCPS Strategic Plan for Excellence. Raise your hand high. So most, not all. All right, great. The following questions are designed to align with LCPS Strategic Plan, core values and goals, providing candidates with the opportunity to discuss their plans in the context of the district's vision and mission. The first question, how do you plan to align your goals and priorities with LCPS's recently approved One LCPS Strategic Plan for Excellence, which envisions every student reaching their full potential and achieving their dreams? So it's fair, I will reach in to my magic envelope here. The first person to answer will be Viktoria.
Yes, so great question. I did read through some of the key points of the One strategic plan for LCPS. I did look at some of the SOL scores that we have currently and where we want to head. I did my research, and some of the SOL scores have been manipulated by the previous administration. So they don't really show the accurate numbers and where we are with the academic performance, grade level proficiency of our children in math and in reading. So first of all, we need to take correct data, which the national report card that shows the honesty gap between where our kids actually are and where should be heading. So one of my priority is to restore academic excellence, but you cannot do it based on false data. So first of all, we have to look at honestly where our kids are and then go on from there.
We'll move on to Harris.
Yeah. So with the academic excellence, with the strategic plan, one of the key things of the strategic plan is also KPI, key performance indicators. So we didn't just create a strategic plan and put some slides up there. We actually put some measurements of each goals and each sort of actions that need to be measured. One of the key things that came out, again, from improving excellence was to make sure that we do early literacy assessment. And that was one of the things that this current report did. There's been many recommendations that we are actually working on to implement that. We're waiting for the VDOE and the governor's office to make sure that the program that we'll be implementing is aligned with that. When it comes to math initiatives, we also introduced a math pilot in elementary. So I know we have only 1 minute, but the majority of the focus, at least from my point of view, has been on the elementary side of things. So how do we make sure that we improve the excellence when it comes to reading, when it comes to math at the early level itself? So this year, starting with LCPS at 5 elementary school that has a math intervention program. So the kids who are not reading, not doing the math at their second grade level or third grade level, they'll be having a specialist that'll be pulling them out and helping them, bringing back to that. So there's many initiatives, but I think this is just one of them. Thank you.
I feel very, very strong about data. And I think that the data that needs to be shared should be shared with the public. The strategic plan should not have to be read alone. It should be shared with the public, given to the public. We shouldn't have to go and seek it out. And I think that's one of the concerns with Loudoun County, is that they are very shy about sharing the good stuff, the good data. And I think when the data is shared, you will see that yes, there are schools that need improvement, but there are schools that are also exceeding those goals. So I think we need to look at the data and shout it from the mountaintop in terms of what we're doing good and what we need to improve.
And I'm going to just go ahead and repeat the question again. How do you plan to align your goals and priorities with LCPS's recently approved One LCPS Strategic Plan for Excellence, which envisions every student reaching their full potential and achieving their dreams?
See, that's interesting. I'd like to know who decided on this, this plan. There's a very good chance that the next school board is going to have a complete turnover. So I would want to look at this, you keep shaking your head. So I would want to look at this plan and see if revisions are necessary. Maybe there's a lot in there that we should keep. Maybe there's a lot in there that we should change. You know, we talk about a lot of things here. Did you know that 19 schools in Loudoun County, 20% of our schools, rank in the bottom half of Virginia schools for proficiency in reading and math? I mean, it's not all roses, folks. So I'd want to take a look at the plan and make sure the priorities are appropriate.
One of the things that I think we need to examine more deeply, and the plan doesn't quite cover in the way that I would like to see, is the idea that there are different paths to success. Not everyone goes to a four-year university. Our society wouldn't function if it did. We need expanded career and technical education. We need to invest in these critical life skills so that our children are going into the future prepared for whatever they choose to do, be it a four-year university, community college, an internship or an apprenticeship, or straight into a career. And I would like to see us address that more strongly. Thank you.
Okay, well, we all know literacy is my thing. And that's what I've spent my whole life, well, about 10 years doing, is making those laws to increase our literacy so that everybody can learn how to read. But one thing that we haven't touched upon is special education. What do our kids do transitioning? And what do they do after they turn 21? Are they job ready? Do they have credentials? And that's something that I think that we need to work on, because our transition specialists are not getting the kind of funding that they need in order to help those kids become job ready. And we are missing a whole ton of our population right here that are higher functioning. So that's something that I would do.
Thank you. So I would say, others have said this too, the data is really important. So we need to understand and measure how we're doing. That is part of the strategic plan, is having specific measurements that we're looking at, but we need to look beyond the ones that have been identified just for that, and making sure that we're looking at disparities. Why are there some schools where the outcomes are better than other schools, and then put resources to make sure that we're supporting those schools and those students who might be struggling more. Also looking at, for schools that are really doing really well by their students, what are the methods and methodologies that they're using that are helping students? The other thing I would say is that taking a very close look at what may not be working well. So one of the things that the schools added in the past year is the Office of the Auditor General. And one of the first things that we're, thank you.
Okay, I may take a little shift here. That's a great segue. Equity and opportunity for all students and staff are fundamental to LCPS's mission. What specific steps will you take to ensure that resources, programs, and support are accessible to all, regardless of background or circumstances?
So, hi. So my campaign is a lot about myself, is about equity, being fair. I also believe in transparency and definitely clarity. So when it comes to equity, I think it's really important that we have measurable goals to make sure that everyone is getting a fair and equal opportunity to all our students. And inclusivity is part of that. So there's a lot that just goes into just that one word with equity. We also want to make sure that whatever our students are doing is effective. And then also maybe even perhaps evaluating what the teachers' responses are, because there's a lot of things that are just involved rather than just students. We want to know what our results are, even based on what the teachers are saying. Thank you.
All right. LCPS emphasizes holistic support for students, including their safety, happiness, and well-being. How will you contribute to creating a safe and nurturing environment within our schools to support this core value?
So I think all of that begins with understanding and having to be communication as the number one goal. You have to have celebrate our diversity. You have to be able to appreciate where all of us come from, all of our backgrounds. You have to be able to understand where their background is and what their needs are. And you have to listen to all of the staff and teachers, boots on the ground, to understand what's going on daily with all the students. So to be inclusive and to be able to appropriate programs, appropriate where it's needed. In each, my district's extremely diverse, and needs from each school is tremendous from one to the other and very different. So you're going to have to address each school, each individual staff and kids that go to the school, and be able to understand what they need, celebrate all of our differences, and to have communication tools.
Arben, trust through listening is one of LCPS's core values. How will you actively engage students, staff, and the community in two-way conversations to ensure their voices are heard and incorporated into the decision-making process?
I think it's a very relevant question for the Sterling District specifically. As Ms. Ricardi mentioned, right, we have students that are at different levels in early education specifically. We have folks that are reading, levels below their grade level, and then we have students that we have to continue to challenge. I think from the perspective of, can you repeat the question, Ms. Burton? So sorry.
Certainly. Trust through listening is one of LCPS's core values. How will you actively engage students, staff, and community in a two-way conversation to ensure their voices are heard and incorporated into the decision-making process?
I think the prime example of this is the Parkview High School rebuild. I think we need to listen to the concerns of the school. This is a reconstruction. We've had art classes that have been, we don't have enough space, we don't have materials. Teachers are actually paying for materials on their own. I think we've made our teachers invisible over the last few years, and we really need to listen and involve them as stakeholders in the process meaningfully.
I'd like to answer the same question.
Certainly.
We're coming from the same place. So this is actually a huge issue in the Sterling District, primarily because a huge part of the district is Latino and speaks Spanish. And frankly, I don't know that the school board has done a great job of doing great outreach to the community in general. There are a lot of parents that I'm meeting with and I'm talking with who are really, really struggling, have no idea what the school board does, and they just are getting by. They're wondering how they're going to put food on the table tonight for their kids. They're wondering how they're going to put food on their tables tomorrow. The issues, again, in Sterling, very different than the rest of this county. And with a 9% dropout rate in high school, I think that we've got to really start taking a hard look at a lot of other opportunities for kids to be able to work while they're in high school and restructure the hours and the ways in which some of our kids can actually go to school. And these come through listening sessions. We're doing one on Tuesday in Sterling about transforming Sterling schools, and that's exactly what it is. It's a listening session with the community, because that's what they need.
All right, for our two candidates at large. LCPS aspires to become the best performing division in the nation. How do you plan to contribute to the rigorous teaching and learning in our schools to help students reach their full potential in the classroom?
Yes, thank you. So I believe that allowing our students to reach their full potential begins with our teachers, with motivating our teachers and educators and making them feel valued and respected. Because if they don't feel valued and respected, they're not going to stay. And what we need is for them to stay in our schools and build trustworthy relationships with their students and with their families. And in order to do that, I support collective bargaining as the first step to supporting our teachers. I support our teachers having more professional development opportunities, more opportunities for advancement. I would like to see the school board work with the board of supervisors to see if we can offer other ways to make the cost of living more affordable for teachers in this county. Not simply raising salaries, but is there a way that we can give teachers and educators a break on their property taxes, or on can we give them a stipend for gas that they spend driving to and from work? Can we interest the business community in giving them discounts?
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Rivera.
I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about being visionary. We send kids to TJ High School, so we send our kids somewhere else. Why don't we have our own TJ High School? Why don't we have our own vocational center of excellence here in Loudoun County? There's a lot of low-hanging fruit about things that can change with teachers, with the environment, with discipline, with all sorts of things. But just recognize that strategic plans are marketing tools. Having been in the private industry, I know this. They've got a lot of really nice words, charts, graphs, and things like that. But LCPS currently is not doing a very good job at taking feedback from the community and actually acting on it. A listening session is only good if you take action on it. And our superintendents and our assistant superintendents and all these folks have been listening, have been hearing, but they haven't been listening. Thank you.
All right, just taking a look at the time, 10 minutes to 8. I'm going to move to some
implement a new course, African American Studies, within the school district. So I've been in Loudoun for 8 years. I came as a grandparent, but now that the kids are older, I have stepped out of my safe zone and gone into Loudoun County Public Schools to help it become the best that it can be. I say again.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address that?
So even though I did end up taking my kids out of school, what you don't know is that I was that room mom. I had twins. I was in the schools all the time, every day. I did circle time. I did station time. I redid their STEM closets. I helped to start Cardinal Ridge Elementary School. My kids were one of the first 5th graders there, and I was in charge of all of the 5th grade, graduation and all of the new things that you do with the schools. And then in the background, what I also did is I've been very, very, very in tune with our current administration with literacy. I brought in an INSL, which is the National Center for Improving Literacy, and Dr. Solari to talk to our SEAC. And I've been very involved in SEAC and written 3 of their reports for dyslexia. So even though I had to end up taking...
Thank you. We'll move to Viktoria. She'll be the last to answer this question, and we'll move on to 2 more questions.
So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a former LCPS substitute teacher. I had long-term assignments, so I was in one of the schools for almost 6 months. So that gave me quite of an experience. And I want to tell you that the biggest challenge was the low morale of students, the total disrespect toward their teachers, and the lack of accountability when it comes to disciplinary issues. And I'm heartbroken to see so many teachers that I worked with or I talked to throughout my campaign being in tears because they burn out. Teachers don't go to this profession because they want to be rich. They go because they want to pass some legacy of a great education to the next generation. And as parents, when it comes to parental rights, I'm talking about parental responsibilities as well. We must work together. Our children are our responsibility, and if you go into teaching, you're taking on all those children, and these teachers are really trying their best. So we must put good policies in place that supports a thriving classroom environment, because this is where I see teachers burning out, and that has been my experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, again, I'll ask the question. Please raise a hand if you're interested in answering. What is your stance on parental rights and the place a parent holds within the educational process?
Couple of things. When I think of parental rights, and I know that this is a very contentious issue, but when you talk about policy 8040, and if a child comes out as a transgender child, should we or should we not notify the parents? I think there's love coming from both sides. Both sides want what's best for the child, but I believe that the parents should be notified. Did you know that 40% of transgender people attempt suicide? How can you not tell the parents if a child comes out as transgender?
Because you out them.
So I believe that to be true. I think the parents should be notified. Now, I also think on another thing, Parents should be able to opt out of certain classes. They can opt out of the family life education, but they can't opt out of social emotional learning, which I do think is a form of indoctrination. And so they should be able to opt out of that as well.
Could you pass the mic to Erika, please?
Thank you so much. Oh, it's not. Is it on?
It's on.
Okay.
Hold it close to your mouth.
Hold it close. Okay, now I can hear it. Okay. I would just say, I think that as a parent, I have never felt that my rights were infringed upon. In fact, I feel like my role as a parent is to work with the teachers, and they work with me. I knew when I had my first kid, I stayed home for 9 months, and I knew right away I couldn't stay home. I wasn't going to be their sole teacher, and so I worked with their teachers. I found schools that were good for them and teachers who cared for them and taught them. I wasn't a great math student, so I'm really grateful that they have math teachers who know math. So I will just say I see my role as a parent. I am and was their first teacher, and we taught them to walk and talk and so forth, but I have always felt that I've been a partner with the teachers in the schools, and that's one of the most important relationships that you can maintain. Thank you.
We'll have one more answer down the end, please.
Oh, no, I thought you raised your hand. Go ahead.
We both did,
But they both did earlier, so.
Okay.
Can we do it?
Rock, paper, scissors.
You said the end, so I thought you meant, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Rivera.
Who has not spoken or answered a question recently?
I still love you. Thank you. This is obviously an important issue for everyone, and I absolutely believe every parent has the right, the ultimate right to make decisions for the best interest of their child. Their child. Yes, and I also think, as Erika said, it's better for students when the parents work as a team with the educators, backing up the educators and respecting and conveying that they should be respected, that the teachers in your school should be respected. And to the extent that, yes, every parent has the right to make decisions for their child, that does not give any other parent the right to decide about my child, because that infringes on my parental right to decide what I think is best for my child. Thank you.
All right, that's a great segue to this question. How will you protect LGBTQ students from the attacks from hate groups and others? Raise a hand if you'd like to take that one on. Pass to the end.
So I'll take can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'll take the top one. So I just answered that question to 11 times later. They put out a survey for us. And I think that all students should have a safe environment to learn. All students should be protected, right? But we have to be conscious of not usurping someone else's rights and creating protected classes, right? And so there's a lot going on around the issue of the LGBTQ community. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any way, shape, or form, but there's not a dialogue. All there is screaming back and forth right now, and policies have been passed that I think are one-sided. So we need to come back to the table, look at actual data, understand what the problem is, and then develop policies that are based on objective data and not personal ideologies.
Do we have one more that would like to answer? Right here.
Thank you. I have to say something about this. I work in the schools every single day. I am a full-time substitute site-based teacher, so I go to the same school every day and I fill in where I'm needed. And I have heard very, very ugly things come out of children's mouths that they have heard and they think are acceptable, and it isn't okay. I've had children crying in my classrooms because of things, my own children included, based on things that people have said to them in the hallways. It is ugly out there. And the ugliness that is going on between parents with the shouting at each other over LGBTQ issues is making their way into the schools. And our kids don't need that there. They need to feel safe and welcome there. And I don't believe it's making a protected class to try and treat everyone equally. We have not been doing that. We have not succeeded at that. So it's not time to roll things back.
Thank you. And our last question, and then we'll go into closing remarks. Raise a hand if you'd like to take this one on. Several candidates have been endorsed or been supported by Loudoun Moms for Liberty, according to this question, a designated hate group. Why should Loudoun voters believe any candidate aligned with a hate group against government or our school board?
Yeah, I don't think Moms for Liberty is a hate group at all. I mean, I think this is absolutely ridiculous. I support what Moms for Liberty stand for. I think you should read more of their information, understand their information. I support 99% of what they say.
Oh my God.
It's not a hate group. Everybody needs to calm down on this kind of rhetoric. Thank you. I support them.
All right, Mr. Rivera?
Yes. So everybody's quick to call other groups a hate group, right? I'll talk about the elephant in the room, and it doesn't really matter, right? Black Lives Matter, right? People say it's a hate group. Some people don't say it's a hate group, right? So people throw out that terminology because they don't like what a particular group stands for, right? So this is all political jargon going back and forth. And again, it's adults in the room arguing, and who is suffering? Kids are suffering, right? While adults are talking about adult topics, complaining about what each other's political party is, children are suffering. We need to get back to focusing all of our efforts on educating children and stop the political rhetoric.
Thank you. I have a pre-submitted question that I'll ask. I'll ask two of those. Raise a hand if you're interested in answering. Please explain how you ensure every student will have access to a variety of instructional materials that provide opportunities to see themselves in a balanced way.
Here. Okay.
It's a great question. It's a great question. Yep. I'm a rock star. Get right in that microphone. It's a great question. So, over the summer, before I decided to run, it was really interesting. I was really curious about this whole code banning business that was going on in schools. And I did a deep dive into this and spent a lot of time thinking about it. Being in the HR space, one of the things I always keep in mind is that we're preparing kids to be productive members in the workforce. And this is really important. Some of the material that we have, and by the way, I think having diverse characters in books is a fantastic thing. We have to have diverse characters of all kinds and sorts from all different kinds of backgrounds in the books that our kids read. But this material, separate from that, cannot be sexual content. They're two different things. And this is the key thing. There are some of these books that are in some of these libraries that if I read them in a workplace, you'd get fired. There is. I've gone through and I've read them all summer long. I dug these books out. So I want to keep those diverse books.
So down here to Harris, the question again is, please explain how you ensure every student will have access to a variety of instructional materials that provide opportunities to see themselves in a balanced way.
I was going to talk about instructional materials in terms of, forgive me, I think the question was wrong. I was thinking about different questions when I raised my hand, so forgive me if I pass this one.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Erika?
It is imperative that students see themselves in the view of the world that's presented in schools. I will say, maybe not directly related, but thinking about medical education. My oldest is in medical school right now, and I saw something about diagrams in medical texts, which are often all white people, and how powerful it was when there was a medical student who took the time to redraw specifically maternal health, Black women bodies as examples for pregnant people in textbooks. So I'm going too far to the side, but suffice it to say, it's imperative that we see ourselves in text as, a blonde, white woman growing up. I saw myself all too often, and I sought out opportunities to also see people who didn't look like me in the books that I was reading. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement to summarize their key points and why they believe they should be elected. Whoever has the mic will start, then we'll go to the right and come on back.
Okay. Again, I'm Chris Hodges, and I'm running for the Broad Run School Board seat. I like to say that I am an advocate for the children. I am not an activist working through the children. And I think a lot of that is going on today. I think a lot of the school board members currently are activists, not advocates. I will have to make tough love decisions that are needed. To turn this school system around, there's going to be some very tough choices to be made. And I'm a good person for that. I'm not an insider. And I think that's a good thing. I can be objective. I can, again, make the tough decisions. If you like the lack of transparency that's been going on in LCPS, do not vote for me. If you think parents are a nuisance, do not vote for me. If you're okay with boys and young men in girls' bathrooms and locker rooms, do not vote for me. Just don't vote for me. But if you want to get back to the basics, I'm your candidate. Thank you.
And we'll pass the microphone to the right.
Thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you this evening. I really appreciate it. I'm Megan Lockwood. I'm running for the Catoctin district seat. And I'm running, as I said previously, for my family. We have 3 generations in the room tonight. My parents are here, I'm here, and my daughter's here. My parents were my first teachers. They made decisions regarding what they wanted me to have access to. That was their right. I've made some different choices for my children. That's my right. And I believe that parents are partners in their children's education. But as my colleague Ms. Donohue said, that right ends when it comes to other people's children. So I am running because my children, I want them to have the best education. I want them to be well-prepared global citizens. I want them to learn accurate history. I want them to learn how to be kind to their classmates. And I want them to take those skills that they learn and carry them into the future. I also want the best for my teacher coworkers who are frustrated, feeling unheard, unappreciated, and they feel like there's a gap between them and parents. And I know as a parent, I have felt that gap between myself and some of my children's teachers as well. So I'm running because I want to build bridges between our schools, between our parents, and our students. Yes, that trust has been broken down, but it's time to come back together as a community with a culture of innovation and kindness and work together to build the best possible education for our children's futures. Thank you.
And pass to the right, thank you.
So 90% of our students go to public schools. We need to make sure that they're strong and inclusive and all of the kids are safe. And one of my ways to do that is to make sure that everybody learns how to read, write, spell, and do math. Because for me, literacy is the foundation and the gateway for all learning. And I know that when kids struggle with reading, it negatively affects their mental health, which we didn't even really speak about tonight. but mental health, academic achievement, access to additional education and future employment. And that for me is the most important thing in the world, is to be kid, child, student focused. And to make sure that these kids have a way to be productive members of our society later on, no matter who they are.
Standing up or sitting down, but again, I want to thank you for hosting this event and for having all 13 of us up here. I stood up to run for school board in the midst of some very difficult times. I won in a special election last year for a seat that the previous person had stepped down from because she was facing death threats against herself and her family. And many people have asked me and continue to ask me, why would you step up in the middle of that? And I will say that it's because it's not right for people to be bullied and pushed aside. We need to be able to have conversations across difference. And I come with 30 years of experience of working with stakeholders who often disagree with each other, but we can come together, and oftentimes when we have disagreement in what we want to do or how we want to do it, we actually come up with the best possible solutions. So I'm an experienced collaborative leader who listens, communicates, and is not afraid of having difficult conversations and knowing that that's an important way that we grow together. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. I know we all have busy schedules. I set my schools, I have 2 kids that go to LCPS, and they're 13 and 11. And I send them there because I want them to further their education. I want them to have a good experience. And more so, the main part of the whole thing is we want our kids to have an education, okay? So, and there's a lot that goes with that. We got teachers, we have us as parents, and most of all, we want our kids to come back home. For someone that, lost a child in the past, I think it's really important that we don't have our children come home in a body bag. So safety for me is the utmost concern. And then of course the other things, definitely. I'm here, I'm listening to you as a community. So please don't feel ignored. But we have to look at the overall well-being of our kids. And that's mental health, especially special needs, which we also didn't talk about tonight. And that's really important, and that's part of my campaign. Thank you.
So thank you. I think you stole some of my thunder. I was going to start with special needs, and no one has really been mentioning that tonight. That's some of our most vulnerable groups that have not been addressed, that have the last 4 years been scraping by and have not had the proper funding to them. So why did I want to get into this, and why did I want to run for school board and get involved, was because I think that the schools have lost their focus a little bit and lost a little bit of their mission and their core and what they're supposed to be focusing on. Doesn't mean everything that has been included has been bad. It just means that we've lost a little bit of that focus and we need to come back. Most of the data out there also points that the parents and the kids and the teachers don't feel like the students are ready for college. 70% this past data that showed. So I think everybody knows that they're not ready for schools. We need to get back to that. My kids have to go, when they went through, yes, they may have gotten good grades, but they still were doing bad on the AP tests and things like that. We need to correct that. We need to focus more on the core education, academic excellence. Yes, we need safety in schools. Yes, we need to have that triangle of trust between the parents, teachers, and the students. Parents have full rights as far as I'm concerned, but that does not come without responsibilities. Parents can't abdicate their responsibilities to teach their kids about the morals, ethics, the fabric, their faiths, and to be able to have respect for one another, respect for their teachers. And the teachers need to be supported. Teachers have a lot of obstacles in their day that doesn't center around just their salaries. We haven't been asking them what's going on. We haven't been finding out exactly what's getting in the way of them teaching their core lesson plans, or for them to have time to do so. And the students need to be supported wholeheartedly. We need to be able to have them as the center all the time. We need to have a school board that's not political, And we need to keep the focus on that. And I think that's what will bring everybody together with transparency as well. And I thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. So I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about my experience as an English language learner. I didn't speak English properly, and I kind of shelled myself up in my early years. And it took an educator to come along and really open me up to really care about where I came from and who I was and what my family was about, to make me confident, to make me take micro risks every day to grow academically and have the courage and build the confidence in the learning process, and really open me up to the learning so that I could show up every day and grow into my maximum potential. And that's really what things like social emotional learning are, culturally responsive frameworks. These are toolkits that our teachers have access to. We're trained professionals that they can use to engage the learner and make them better learners. And I think that's a really, really important point. We need to trust our teachers, trust their training. My mother is a fiery, sassy, Italian, Sicilian immigrant mother who happens also to be Muslim. And so she walked into my schools to advocate for me, to make sure that nobody was giving me pork or anything like that. And so in a time when schools were not as inclusive, right? And she would never have felt comfortable or welcome in a PTO meeting. We have come so far. We can't go backwards, right? We have to serve all of our students. I'm running because we need strong leadership on the school board. We need to build trust and transparency. I agree with everyone here. And we need to deeply engage and listen. And I believe that uplifting the Sterling District, by uplifting the Sterling District, will uplift all of LCPS, right? This is really where the work needs to be done. And you know, I think that we need to push our students to reach their full academic potential. But it's really important that all students matter, and not every student is the same. So we need equitable learning opportunities to be able to have them meet their maximum potential. Thank you.
So thank you guys again for coming out tonight. One of the things in my work that I do, I have, for the last 23 years or so, I have about 70% of my clients who are from what I would consider to be kind of left-leaning organizations, and probably 30-ish% that come from kind of right-leaning organizations. And one of the reasons why I'm running quite specifically is we have to lower the rhetoric and the temperature here in Loudoun County in general. As I sit back and I've watched over the many years school board meetings and other interactions, there's a lot of talking around and over and past each other as we are trying to figure out what's in the best interest of our children. And at the end of the day, that's really what the focus needs to be. We need to let our parents be parents. We need to get our parents re-engaged. In many of our schools, our parents are not engaged enough because they are working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs in the household. Their kids have to work, etc. We have got to come up with ways to improve the communication, change the way that we're educating our kids, and most importantly, as parents, changing the dialogue and the tone of the dialogue that we're having so that we can find where we can come together and really come up with some good solutions for our kids. This is the most critical thing. They are watching us, they are watching to see how we behave, and then they're mirroring our behaviors. And we've got to change the rhetoric as adults so that we can get to a good outcome for our kids. Thanks.
So I knew I wanted to be a lawyer when I was 5 years old. And I never wanted to do it because I wanted to be famous or to get rich. I wanted to do it to serve my community. And that's what I've done. I am a public servant. I was a prosecutor, and since 2014, I've been a national security attorney. I've never worked in the private sector. My interest is bettering my community and bettering public safety in my community. That's always been my focus. I want my kids to get the best possible education. I want every kid in this county to get the best possible education. But I also believe that if we don't have safe school communities where everyone, every student, and every educator feels safe, that we won't be able to provide that great education for our kids. And that is why I talk all the time about public safety. How do we make our schools safer for our kids? I have one child who has some mental health issues, and I have spent a lot of time talking with his teachers and with our administrators at our school And I've had really good luck working with them. They've been incredibly supportive. And I want everyone in the county to have that experience. And I know they're not getting it. And we need to work on that. We need to fix it. I also have, last year, my kindergartner told me one day that a kid on the bus said that they had a gun in their backpack. I don't know if that was true, but she was told that, she heard that, it has to be followed up on. I hope it wasn't true. But I also think that we can't wait until there's a terrible incident in our county to start taking proactive measures to make sure that our children and our educators are safe in our schools. And I'm asking for your vote because I want to represent the entire community. Thank you.
My name is Micheal Rivera, and I'm running for the at-large position on the school board. As my colleague said, there is a lot of rhetoric going back and forth. There's a lot of arguing. There's a lot of things going on. It's very easy to pick on the current administration for all the things they've done wrong. I think we've lost pragmatism, we've lost reasonableness, and a lot of basic things that allow an organization of this size with this size budget to function properly. And most importantly, LCPS has lost the public trust. They lost my trust. I will take the blame for not paying attention because I thought other adults were on the school board and that they were doing a good job. And a lot of us in the room can probably say that. And a lot of parents have woken up from that sleep, and I will never again miss a local election. But we need to be laser focused on children. We keep talking about things that have nothing to do with kids, and we throw out the fluffy terms as the strategic plans. We're a nation that grew up from one-room schoolhouses, right? Education is so complicated today, and it doesn't need to be. Books, teachers, instruction, and kids will learn. And we need to focus on the children and get all the political rhetoric and the personal ideologies and all of these other things out of the school system. My name is Micheal Rivera. Thank you for your thumbs down, I appreciate it. My name is Micheal Rivera, and I'm running for the at-large position on the school board.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of our Loudoun County Public School campaign. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got excited. All right, we have 3 more. Go ahead. Sorry, so sorry about that.
1 minute, 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much again for coming out. Again, we do have busy schedules, and we appreciate your interest and showing care for the education of our children. I believe our job description is twofold: putting appropriate school board policies in place and allocating the $1.6 billion budget to serve the best interest of our school community. That's it. We need to keep all the rest out of it, because we have to make sure that what I said for 5 of the steps that I think is very important is the academic excellence. So first of all, we have to turn our budget and allocate money towards making sure that every child, whether they're struggling with their grade level proficiency or they're exceeding it, they're either challenged or they're helped with IAPs. We're having hundreds of children on waiting lists for the IAP because we don't have enough special ed teachers. So that comes to academic excellence. That's our number 1. Reading, writing, math. I like how you said that. Literacy. We don't teach them how to read. They don't have knowledge. They won't be able to get on with life. Second, safety. I want my kids to be safe when they go to school. So we need to have security resource officers. We need to make sure that we are protected, our kids are protected from outside harm. Those are key things. Those are the top key things. And then we have to work together with our parents and with the teachers. We need teachers. We need excellent teachers. Otherwise, our kids will not be smart. And these teachers are so valuable that we must retain them. We must find every means to support them. And we heard great ideas to how to do that. And my kids and a lot of kids in our neighborhood said, Miss Victoria, if you run, can you do something about the food? Food is really important. A lot of people said, no, don't put it on your campaign list. Yes, it greatly affects the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of our children, what they eat. So these are the things that I stand for. And again, I'm in it to win it and to represent our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, and I know I'm going to be quick because my last 2 minutes went pretty fast. So a lot of things have been said about LCPS tonight, but I think the key thing to take away tonight is that there's 12,000 employees really working hard to make LCPS currently with 26,000 or more students the #1 school in the entire state of Virginia. And that goes a long way. So I know the idea is that of continuous improvement. When I ran back in 2019, the idea was to make sure that we continue improving on where our schools were. And I believe we made progress through that. There's talk about having a transparency. I was the one who introduced the Auditor General's office in place, so we can have an independent review on the policies and things that are going on. I'm very proud of that work. We talk about mental health. That was my first priority. Every year, I made sure that the biggest thing for mental health when it comes to is we can have resources in place to help students. We reduced the counselor ratios from high school from 325 to 250 to middle school, and to this year we did it for elementary school. To kind of give you in perspective, we have staffing ratios for counselor ratios. Some schools had 1.3, 1.4 counselors, and didn't make any sense. So this year we have 2 full counselors, regardless of what the ratios are. For the Western Loudoun, again, this is not my district, I'm running for Ashburn district, but I saw that if they had 100 children, 125 students, they had a half-time counselor in those schools, and that was unacceptable. So again, that was my initiative to make sure that they had 1 full counselor available through that. The Auditor General's office, the first thing they're going to do is to look at the special education as the first audit, because we saw that the data did not match to what we were hearing from the parents. And so how do you do about it? I can talk to you about all the rhetoric, and I mean, this is actually things that we're putting in place to make sure that we have the data. Strategy plan is not a PowerPoint slides. We actually have KPIs. So if you understand what KPIs are, those are hard numbers.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Dr.
Well, thank you. Just running and hopefully you can support. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Linda Deans. I ask for your vote on November 7th, or you can go early and start tomorrow. I have been a classroom teacher, a counselor, a dean of students, an assistant principal, a deputy superintendent, and I am here in Northern Virginia to use all of those experiences to pass it on. It's not that I know or will know everything. It's that as I sit at the table, I will be able to give input from each of those levels of academia. I also hold licenses in Virginia. I hold a license as a biology teacher, as a counselor, as a school administrator, as an instructional supervisor, and yes, I hold a license for a division superintendent. So I am meeting with our superintendent tomorrow, and yesterday or last evening, he had a listening session at Broad Run High School. He said, I'm an outsider coming in, and I think you all have a wonderful school division. That's the way I feel. We have a wonderful school division, and no matter of the little bumps in the road, this new school board that you are going to elect on November 7th, because all of the people on the school board will be new except 2. So as you elect your new school board, along beside your new superintendent, the sky is the limit. So may I say to you, go forward, go forward, go forward for students in Loudoun County.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of the Loudoun County Public School Board Candidate Forum. We want to extend our heartfelt thanks to all the candidates for participating tonight and for sharing their insights, visions, commitment, and to the future of our schools in the district. As we conclude this forum, it's important to remember that education of our children is a shared responsibility that involves students, families, educators, and the community. Your engagement in this democratic process is a testament to your value you place on the future of our students. We'd also like to express our gratitude to the audience members who joined us, both in person and virtually. Your presence and participation are a vital part of the democratic process. and we appreciate your interest and commitment to the well-being of our schools and students. Once again, thank you to the candidates, the audience, all those who helped organize the event, specifically the NAACP Loudoun branch, Holy and Whole Life Changing Ministries International, the Loudoun County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and the League of Women Voters. Let's continue to work together to ensure that every student in Loudoun County can reach their full potential and achieve their dreams. Good night and best wishes to all the candidates in the upcoming election.
Thank you, Robin.